I used to think my life was seamless, like one of those movies where everything just clicks into place. Sarah, my wife, she was the missing piece I hadn't even known I was looking for. We met at that awful office party, the one with the stale chips and forced small talk. I was cornered by Brenda from accounting, droning on about spreadsheets, when Sarah walked by. Burgundy dress, eyes that crinkled when she smiled, and this laugh that sounded like wind chimes. I swear, Brenda faded into the background the second Sarah said, "Mind if I steal him for a minute?" It was like someone had hit the mute button on the world. We talked for hours that night about everything and nothing. It was easy, effortless. The early days were a whirlwind. Late night drives, exploring the city, finishing each other's sentences. We just got each other. Moving in together felt less like a decision and more like gravity. It was inevitable. And the wedding? Small, intimate, just close friends and family. I remember standing at the altar, looking at her, and feeling this overwhelming sense of rightness, like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. Sarah was ambitious, driven. She worked hard, long hours sometimes, but she always made time for us. We'd have these quiet evenings, just the two of us, cooking dinner together, talking about our day, or we'd go hiking on weekends, getting lost in nature, just us and the trees. It was peaceful. Her dad, Michael, he was always there, supportive. He seemed genuinely happy about our marriage. He'd call sometimes just to check in, see how we were doing. He gave this speech at the wedding about family and commitment, and I remember thinking, this guy gets it. He was always offering to help with things around the house, giving us advice, solicited and unsolicited, but always well-meaning, I thought. There was this one time, our car broke down on the highway, middle of nowhere. Sarah was freaking out, but Michael showed up within an hour with tools and jumper cables. He fixed it right there, under the blazing sun, cracking jokes the whole time. I remember thinking, I'm lucky to have this guy as a father-in-law. We had our routines. Saturday mornings were for the farmer's market. Sunday afternoons, we'd visit my parents. Weeknights were for cooking or watching a movie or just being together. It was comfortable, predictable, in the best possible way. I thought we were building something solid, something that would last. Looking back now, there were these tiny shifts, subtle changes in Sarah's behavior. She started working even later. Her phone was always buzzing, and she seemed a little distant sometimes. But I chalked it up to work stress. She was climbing the corporate ladder, and I was proud of her. I never questioned it. I remember thinking, this is it. This is what happiness feels like. A loving wife, a supportive family, a comfortable life. I had it all, or so I thought. The idea that Sarah or Michael would ever deliberately mislead me, keep something significant from me, it was beyond comprehension. It simply wasn't possible. That's what I believed then. That's what makes this whole thing so damn hard to swallow. So there's this thing coming up at work, Sarah said one evening over dinner. We were having salmon and asparagus, her favorite. I remember thinking how the candlelight flickered on her face, making her look almost different, not in a bad way, just different. Thing? I asked, putting down my fork. Good thing? Bad thing? It's complicated, she said, picking at her food. It's a trip to Chicago. Chicago? Okay, I knew her company had offices there. For how long? A few days, maybe 4 or 5 tops, she said, not looking up. It's a conference, a big one. A conference, right. I'd been to a few of those. Long days, awkward networking events, free pens. Sounds exciting, I said, trying to sound enthusiastic. Anything interesting happening? She shrugged. It's work, meetings, presentations, the usual. I remember noticing her voice was a little flat. Not her usual bubbly self, but I figured she was just stressed about the trip. Big conference, big pressure. I got it. When is it? I asked. Next week, she said, finally looking up. I have to leave on Monday. Monday. That was soon. We hadn't really talked about it before, but I didn't think much of it at the time. Work was work. Okay, I said, Well, let me know if there's anything I can do to help you prepare. That's when Michael came up. Sarah had called him earlier that day, apparently. He's offered to keep an eye on things while I'm gone, she said. Keep an eye on things? I asked, confused. Like what? You know, she said, waving her hand dismissively. The house, the dogs, just make sure everything's okay. It seemed a little unnecessary. I mean, I was perfectly capable of taking care of things, but I didn't want to step on Michael's toes. He was just being helpful, right? That's great, I said, forcing a smile. Thanks, Michael, I appreciate that. He just nodded, giving me this knowing look. Or at least that's how it seemed later in hindsight. At the time, it just seemed like his usual, slightly awkward smile. The next few days were a blur of packing and preparation. Sarah was stressed, running around, making lists. I tried to help, but she was preoccupied, distracted. I figured it was just pre-trip jitters. On Monday morning, I drove her to the airport. We kissed goodbye, she told me she'd call when she landed, and then she was gone. I watched her walk through security, her rolling suitcase trailing behind her, and I felt a little empty. But mostly I felt proud of her. She was doing big things, and I was her biggest supporter. That's what I told myself anyway. That's what I wanted to believe. The first night without her was quiet. Too quiet. I made myself some dinner, a simple pasta dish, and ate it alone at the kitchen table. The TV was on, but I wasn't really watching it. I kept glancing at my phone, waiting for her text. It came hours later, a short, landed safe, long day, talk tomorrow. That was it. No details, no I miss you, just businesslike. I brushed it off. Time zones, exhaustion. It made sense. The next day I tried calling her during my lunch break, straight to voicemail. I left a message, something casual, just checking in. Hope the conference is going well. Love you. No response. That evening I tried again, still voicemail. I started to feel a little uneasy. I texted her, everything okay? Haven't heard from you. Still nothing. I told myself she was busy. Meetings, presentations, networking. It was a conference after all, but a small voice in my head kept whispering, this isn't normal. Then I remembered something. Mark, a friend of mine, works in Chicago. I casually texted him, hey, you know any good places to eat near the convention center? Sarah's there for a conference. His reply came quickly. Convention center? I haven't been there in years. Sarah's in town. That stopped me. Sarah hadn't mentioned which part of Chicago she was in, and Mark, who lived there, hadn't even known about the conference. I tried to play it cool. Yeah, big one for her company. She's been working hard. Oh, Mark said. Well, I haven't seen any big conference crowds around here. Maybe it's at a different venue? My stomach dropped. A different venue. Why would she say convention center if it was somewhere else? And why hadn't she mentioned it to me? I started to feel sick, like a knot was tightening in my chest. I suddenly remembered all those little things. The distant behavior, the vague explanations, Michael's weird smile. They started to piece together, like a jigsaw puzzle with a missing piece. I tried to push it down. I'm being paranoid, I told myself. I'm just tired, stressed. But the feeling wouldn't go away. It was like a persistent hum, a low-level alarm going off in my head. That night I barely slept. I kept tossing and turning, replaying the conversations in my head, searching for clues, for anything that would explain this feeling of dread. I wanted to trust her. I desperately wanted to believe that I was wrong. But the doubt was there, a dark stain spreading across my thoughts. I knew deep down that something was very, very wrong. The next day I couldn't focus. Work was a blur of emails and meetings, but my mind was miles away, replaying Mark's text over and over. Different venue. The words echoed in my head. I had to know. I had to find out what was going on. I started small, subtle. I checked her social media, her Instagram, her Facebook. Usually she'd post pictures from these work events, smiling with colleagues, conference badges, cityscapes, nothing. Just a few generic posts from weeks ago. It was odd. Then I remembered her phone. We shared a family plan so I could access the call logs. I logged in, pretending I needed to check the data usage. My hands were shaking. I scrolled through looking for anything out of the ordinary. There were a few calls to a number I didn't recognize, local Chicago number, not her company's headquarters, not anyone I knew. My heart pounded. I wrote the number down. I then thought of Michael. He was supposed to be keeping an eye on things. I called him, trying to sound casual. "Hey, Michael, everything okay at the house?" "Everything's fine," he said, his voice a little too cheerful, a little too quick. "The dogs are good. House is still standing." "Great," I said, forcing a laugh. "Sarah said you were checking in. Thanks." "No problem," he said. "Always happy to help." Sarah said the conference was going well. "Yeah," I said, my voice tight. "She's really busy, lots of meetings." "That's good," he said. "Good for her career." He sounded rehearsed, like he was saying exactly what he thought I wanted to hear. It made me sick. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about that number. I had to know who it belonged to. I did a reverse phone lookup online. It cost a few bucks, but I didn't care. I needed answers. The results came back. A name, a man's name. I didn't recognize it. But then I saw the company listed, her company, and the title Regional Manager, her boss. My world tilted. It was like the floor had dropped out from under me. Her boss, she was with her boss in Chicago, not at a conference. The evidence was there staring me in the face. The vague explanations, the missing social media, the unknown number, Michael's rehearsed responses. It all added up. It was a lie. A carefully constructed, elaborate lie. The pain was physical, like someone had punched me in the gut. I felt dizzy, nauseous. I wanted to scream, to break something, but mostly I just felt stupid, so incredibly, unbelievably stupid. I had trusted her, I had believed her, and she had been lying to me the whole time. That reverse phone lookup, it wasn't just a name and a title, it was a sledgehammer to my reality. The image of Sarah, my Sarah, with him, it burned into my brain. I couldn't escape it. I needed more. I couldn't just have a name. I needed proof. Concrete, undeniable proof. I remembered her email. We shared a laptop sometimes, and she usually stayed logged in. It was a long shot, but it was all I had left. I sat down at the laptop, my hands shaking so badly I could barely type. I opened the browser, found the email login page, and it was there. Her email address already filled in. I typed in her password, the one I knew by heart. It worked. My breath hitched. I was inside her private world, the one she had kept hidden from me. I felt like a trespasser, but I couldn't stop. I had to know. I searched for Chicago. Hundreds of emails. I started clicking, my heart pounding with each new message. Most were work-related, the usual corporate jargon. But then, there it was. An email from her boss. Subject, hotel confirmation. The date matched the dates of her conference. The address, a luxury hotel downtown. Not a convention center. The email was short, but it was enough. "See you soon, can't wait." Signed with his initials. My stomach churned. I kept scrolling. More emails, dinner reservations. "Missing you already." A picture of roses. The evidence piled up. A mountain of betrayal. And then I saw an email to her dad. Michael, subject, everything's set. She was thanking him for covering for her, for lying to me. "He's taking care of everything," she wrote, "making sure you don't suspect a thing. You're the best, Dad." The best? He was the best? He was helping her cheat on me. The man I had trusted, the man I had thought of as a friend, was actively participating in this deception. The rage that hit me then, it was like nothing I had ever felt before. It was a cold, burning fury. I wanted to scream, to destroy something. The laptop, the room, everything. I closed the laptop slowly, deliberately. The image of that hotel confirmation email was seared into my memory. I knew then it was over. My marriage, my trust, everything was shattered. And the people I had loved the most had done this to me. The first few days after finding out were a blur. I remember going through the motions, but nothing felt real. Work, eating, even sleeping, it was all just noise. The silence in the apartment was deafening. Every corner reminded me of her, of us, of the life we had built on a foundation of lies. The worst part was the constant replay. Every memory I had of her, of us, was tainted. I'd remember a smile, a laugh, a shared moment, and then I'd see that hotel confirmation email in my head. It was like a virus, corrupting everything. I couldn't eat, I lost weight, my clothes hung off me. I'd stare at the ceiling for hours, unable to sleep, my mind racing. I kept asking myself, why? Why would she do this? To me? To us? I remember the first time we talked after I found out. She called, her voice trembling. I need to explain, she said. Explain? Explain what? Explain how she could look me in the eye and lie? Explain how she could betray me so completely? I couldn't even speak. I just hung up. She kept calling, texting, begging to see me. I ignored her. I couldn't face her. I couldn't bear to look at the person I thought I knew, the person who had turned out to be a stranger. The pain was suffocating. It wasn't just sadness. It was anger, humiliation, a deep sense of loss. I felt like I had lost a part of myself, a part that I would never get back. And Michael, the betrayal from him was almost as bad. He wasn't just some acquaintance, he was family. He was supposed to be the supportive father-in-law, the wise mentor. Instead, he was a co-conspirator, helping her deceive me. I thought about all the times we had spent together, the conversations, the advice he had given me. It all felt like a lie now, a carefully constructed facade. I started to question everything. Was our marriage ever real? Did she ever truly love me? Was I just a fool, a convenient placeholder in her life? The uncertainty was agonizing. It gnawed at me, leaving me feeling empty and hollow. I knew I couldn't stay in this limbo forever. I had to do something. I had to find a way to make this stop hurting. And that's when the thoughts started, the dark thoughts, the thoughts of revenge. The idea came to me slowly at first, a whisper in the back of my mind, a dark thought I tried to push away. But it kept coming back, stronger each time. Revenge. It wasn't a sudden, dramatic moment. There wasn't a lightning bolt or a grand epiphany. It was more like a slow leak, a poison seeping into my system, corrupting my thoughts. I remember lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, the image of Sarah and her boss flashing through my mind. The pain was still raw, the betrayal still fresh. And then the thought, she needs to feel this. She needs to understand what she did to me. It started with small things, fantasies really. I'd imagine confronting her, telling her exactly how much she had hurt me. I'd picture her face, the shock, the regret. It gave me a twisted sense of satisfaction, a brief respite from the constant ache in my chest. But the fantasies weren't enough. They were fleeting, temporary. I needed something more. I needed something real. The anger was a constant companion now. It fueled me, gave me a purpose. I wasn't just hurting anymore. I was angry. Angry at Sarah, angry at Michael, angry at the world for letting this happen to me. I knew deep down that revenge wasn't the right thing to do. It wasn't the mature, the healthy thing. But I didn't care. I was too consumed by the pain, by the need to feel in control again. I started to think about how I could hurt them. Not physically, but emotionally. I wanted to target their vulnerabilities, their weaknesses. I wanted to make them suffer the way I was suffering. With Sarah, it was her image. She cared about how people saw her. She wanted everyone to think she was perfect. I knew that exposing her affair, revealing her lies, would destroy that image. With Michael, it was his pride. He was a respected man, a pillar of the community. Or so I thought. I knew that revealing his involvement in the deception would shatter his reputation, humiliate him in front of everyone he knew. I started to gather information. Small details, things I had overlooked before, things that could be used against them. I felt a strange sense of calm, a twisted focus. The pain was still there, but it was now channeled into something else. I knew I was changing. I was becoming someone I didn't recognize, but I didn't care. I was too far gone. The desire for revenge had consumed me. It was all I could think about. It was all I wanted. The idea, once a hazy outline, started to solidify. It wasn't just about hurting them anymore. It was about making them understand the magnitude of their betrayal. It had to be calculated, precise, and utterly devastating. With Sarah, the plan centered on exposure. I knew her social circle, the people she wanted to impress. I decided to use that against her. I started compiling evidence. The hotel confirmation, the emails, anything that proved the affair beyond a shadow of a doubt. I considered different ways to reveal it. a mass email to her contacts, a public post on social media. I wanted maximum impact, maximum humiliation. I spent hours thinking about the wording, the timing, the best way to ensure everyone she knew would see it. The thought of her face when she realized what I had done, it gave me a cold satisfaction. I wanted her to feel the shame, the embarrassment, the social ostracization that I had felt when I discovered her lies. With Michael, the approach was different. I knew his reputation was everything to him. He wanted to be seen as the perfect father, the perfect husband, the perfect man. I decided to target that image. I started digging into his past, looking for any skeletons in his closet, any inconsistencies that could be used to undermine his credibility. I talked to old friends, former colleagues, anyone who might have some dirt on him. It was a slow, tedious process, but I was relentless. I spent countless hours searching, questioning, piecing together fragments of information. The thought of bringing him down, of exposing his hypocrisy, kept me going. I even considered contacting his wife, Sarah's mother. The idea of her finding out her husband had helped their daughter cheat on her own son-in-law. It was a powerful weapon, but I hesitated. I didn't want to drag her into this mess. The plan evolved over time, becoming more elaborate, more intricate. I became almost methodical. Each step was carefully planned, each detail meticulously considered. I felt a strange sense of control, a perverse satisfaction in orchestrating their downfall. I knew I was walking a dangerous path. I knew that what I was doing was wrong, that it was consuming me, but I couldn't stop. The need for revenge was too strong. It was a fire burning inside me, and I was determined to let it burn until everything was reduced to ashes. The day I set the plan in motion, it's hard to describe. There was a strange calm, a chilling detachment. I felt like I was watching myself, a puppet following a preset script. With Sarah, it started with the email, a mass email sent to everyone in her contact list, friends, family, colleagues. The subject line was deliberately provocative, "The truth about Sarah." Inside, I attached all the evidence. The hotel confirmation, the damning emails, even a screenshot of her text to her father. It was all there, laid bare for everyone to see. I hit send, and then nothing. Just silence. But I knew the storm was coming. I waited, my heart pounding in my chest, a mixture of anticipation and dread. The first response came within minutes. A furious phone call from Sarah, her voice hysterical. "What have you done? What the hell is wrong with you?" I stayed calm, my voice cold and flat. "Just letting everyone know the real Sarah," I said. "The one who lies and cheats." She screamed, cursed, threatened. I hung up. I didn't care. I wanted her to suffer. I wanted her to feel the humiliation, the shame. Then came the messages from her friends. Shock, disbelief, disgust. Some were sympathetic, but most were judgmental, condemning. Her carefully constructed image was crumbling before her eyes. With Michael, the approach was different. I decided to go public, but more subtly. I leaked the information to a local news outlet, a small story about a prominent businessman aiding and abetting his daughter's infidelity. I didn't name names directly, but the details were unmistakable. Everyone in his circle would know who it was. The story spread quickly, fueled by gossip and speculation. The reaction was satisfying. Michael's reputation took a hit. His business dealings were scrutinized. People started to look at him differently, to whisper behind his back. He called me, his voice trembling with rage. "You ruined me," he said. "You destroyed everything I've built." "You helped her destroy my marriage," I said, my voice hard. "Consider this payback." He denied it, tried to justify his actions, but I didn't listen. I had said my piece. I had delivered my revenge. The fallout was messy, chaotic. There were arguments, accusations, tears, but through it all I felt strangely detached. I had done what I set out to do. I had made them pay. But as the dust settled, as the initial rush of satisfaction faded, a different feeling started to creep in. An emptiness, a hollowness. I had won, but at what cost? The aftermath, it was a strange, quiet place. The chaos subsided, the shouting stopped, and I was left standing in the ruins. My marriage was over irrevocably. Sarah was gone, her life shattered, her reputation in tatters. Michael was a pariah, his once pristine image tarnished, his social standing diminished. I had gotten my revenge, I had made them pay, but the victory felt hollow, empty. The pain didn't disappear, it just changed shape, morphing into a dull ache, a constant reminder of what I had lost and what I had become. The apartment felt haunted. Every room held a memory, a ghost of what used to be. I couldn't stay there. I eventually moved, started fresh, but the past followed me, a shadow I couldn't shake. I tried to move on to pick up the pieces, but it wasn't easy. The trust was gone, the ability to open myself up to someone, to believe in the possibility of real connection, felt broken. I dated, briefly, a few casual encounters, a couple of short-lived relationships, but nothing felt right. I was guarded, suspicious, always waiting for the other shoe to drop. Looking back, I see the damage I caused, not just to Sarah and Michael, but to myself. The revenge, the anger, it consumed me. It turned me into someone I didn't recognize, someone cold, bitter, and isolated. I learned a hard lesson, a lesson I wish I had learned differently. Revenge doesn't heal, it doesn't bring closure, it just perpetuates the pain, creating more victims, including yourself. The experience changed me, it scarred me, it took me a long time to even begin to heal, to start to forgive, not them, but myself. To forgive myself for the darkness I allowed to take over. I still think about Sarah and Michael sometimes. I wonder where they are, what they're doing, if they ever think about me. But the thoughts are different now. There's less anger, less bitterness, just a quiet sadness, a sense of what could have been. If I could go back, I would do things differently. I would try to find a healthier way to deal with the pain, to process the betrayal. I would focus on healing myself, rather than trying to destroy them. The truth is, the best revenge is moving on. It's building a life that is so good, so fulfilling, that the people who hurt you fade into insignificance. It's not easy, it takes time, patience, and a willingness to let go. But it's worth it. It's the only way to truly break free from the cycle of hurt and anger. It's the only way to find peace, and it's the only way to truly win.